Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Shadow Ball Toxicroak in the Open Great League. We're going to have a team with two normal types in the back here, with the LilyNiRiain as our safe swap as well as the Pidgeot in the back. I kind of want to try out LilyNiRiain as well because I was curious on how good it's going to be in the meta, and I have to say I got hard countered most of the games, and so I would say that LilyNiRiain is actually not really a great safe swap, but we're going to take a look at this later on. Here of course, first game we're going to get out a Wishcast, which is amazing for the LilyNiRiain as we can go for a bait and then try to go for a Power Whip afterwards. We have to realign here, so I'm going to use some shields later on for sure, but in the back we're going to have here our Pidgeot, which is going to be also an interesting Pokemon. It definitely was a very solid Pokemon to use in the current meta, but I have to say for sure the weakest part of this team was the LilyNiRiain, which is something that I did not really expect to see, but you're going to see it most likely as well here. I got hardwalled so many times. The amount of Vigoroth that I saw in the back, the amount of Poliwrath that I saw in the back was absolutely madness. So I would actually recommend you to rather go for the Vigoroth as a safe swap over the LilyNiRiain if you want to play this team. The rest is going to be fine, the rest is going to be a lot of fun to play with, but I don't know, like, of course Vigoroth going to make you a little bit weaker though against the Deoxys defense, which might be a little bit of an issue, but yeah, I don't know, like, I don't really like the LilyNiRiain as a safe swap right now. I still think it's a good lead, and I still think it's a good closer, but as a safe swap it kinda sucks. But here we're going to be able to just go for a Brave Bird against the opponent's Pelipper. The opponent is going to have their Trevenant here in the bag again, and they can go for a Shadow Ball. It doesn't matter because we still have our Pidgeot, and even a Seed Bomb is not going to be even close enough to knock us out, so we're going to be able to win this game after getting hardwalled in the lead. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to encounter here the Sableye in the lead, and that's going to be something that is of course horrible for us. We can swap out and we're going to get out a Medicham. This is a little bit tricky in nowadays meta because usually they're having now fighting type coverage with either the Power Punch or the Dynamic Punch. Here they're running the Power Punch, but we can go ahead and go for a Body Slam, and the opponent decides to go immediately for a Shield, which I found kind of interesting, but they still can go for another Charge move afterwards, which is going to be another Power Punch, boosting their attack even further as we can go for a Body Slam and get a little bit of damage onto them. Of course we kind of have to realign here our Toxicroak because we know already that the lead is going to be a little bit tricky for us, and we kind of want some energy. They're gonna go for another Power Punch, which is definitely nice for us, but even though their moves are all resisted, we're still below half health, which is an issue for the Toxicroak. Toxicroak is a very squishy Pokemon, but as you're going to see here, the opponent just going to completely hardwall me again, having a Bastion against our Pidgeot in the back. And I have to say, I think I would have won so many more games if I just flipped my lead with my Pokemon in the back with my closer, because there were so many Bastions in the back and like so many, I don't know, Pokemon that would be weak to Pidgeot in the lead, which was absolutely wild. I did not really expect it because usually what I saw and why I also went for the lead of the Toxicroak is something like a Skarmory, which you know actually going to be able to beat in the one-shield scenario thanks to Shadow Ball. Or also something like a what's called Lantern, which you're going to have nice coverage and you're always going to win the two-shield scenario. So like this team on paper does make way more sense like this, but I feel like the Pokemon that I encountered in the lead were pretty bad for me. So let's move on to the next game. Next opponent coming up here, let's take a look what they're going to run. They're going to run the LilyNiRiain in the lead. So finally actually a fairly decent lead for us, but it's also not as great. If you actually ever played this matchup before, you know that it's not as great for the Toxicroak, and also because we're not running Sludge Bomb anymore, I don't really have anything to really pressure the opponent there. And of course you're going to get hardwalled immediately again with a Poliwrath in the back against our LilyNiRiain. So again, kind of showcasing that LilyNiRiain might not be the best safe swap in this current meta anymore. There are so many fighting types at least against me in the back. I know if it's the same for you, let me know in the comment section if you also have like so many fighting types for the opponents in the back. But like Pidgeot usually likes to play against them, but then they're gonna get hardwalled afterwards. But here the opponent goes back into the LilyNiRiain, which is kind of nice for us. So they seem to be weak against me in the back, so I kind of want to keep my Pidgeot healthy. And as the opponent goes here into a Dragonair, allowing me to go for the Feather Dance, getting the debuff onto the opponent. Now I can swap out into my Toxicroak, and Toxicroak will be able to still go for the Mud Bomb, getting the shield here. And I think afterwards I should be able to just use a shield, farm them down, realign, and I think I'm going to be good, but it's still going to be very close because as you're going to see now, the opponent's still going to have the LilyNiRiain. The LilyNiRiain still has some health left, and the LilyNiRiain still has a shield left. And they're going to use a shield here as well. I do still get to a Mud Bomb, which is kind of nice, but it's not going to knock them out, and so they get a ton of energy here. And now it depends if we can get to our move in time. The opponent is going to go for the lick, and they can still reach another charge move here, but are they at 2 body slams? This is the question here. They are, and so we're going to lose this game just barely at the end, which is kind of sad. Or do we? We are not going to lose this game. We're going to be able to still go for a Feather Dance, and that's going to get the knockout against the opponent. Next one coming up, let's take a look at what they're going to run. They're going to run the Broguiere this time around though in the lead, which is going to be interesting. As they're going to stay in for a little bit, but I kind of want to swap out and catch the move onto my LilyNiRiain, as LilyNiRiain can take those charge moves a little bit easier, and I know that the lead matchup would not be as ideal for me. But now we're going to put them into range where I would be able to just lick them down if I use one shield, but they decide to swap out into the Clodsire, which is not really ideal for us, but we can still go for the body slam spam here against the opponent, which is going to be okay for me. So at least I'm going to get some damage onto them, but again, like Clodsire is so insanely bulky. This Pokemon is so strong in the current meta, for sure one of the best meta breakers, but here as you can see, you can still go for another body slam, which is kind of cool, but they're going to get the knockout afterwards. So I'm forced to go into my Toxicroak, go for a Mud Bomb, but they have around 100 energy, so they're going to of course use a shield here. I'm forced to use a shield, and they decide to go ahead and go for the Stone Edge, and now they swap out into the Broguiere, forcing me to use another shield, because I kind of want to keep my Toxicroak alive and I can farm them all the way down. Let's see what they're going to go back into next. It's going to be the Swampert. I can still go for a Mud Bomb and try to get the shield, but again, they're going to get basically I think like 3 or 4 fast moves here, which is all it takes for them to get to 2 Hydrocans before I can even get to 1 charge move, which is also all it takes to knock out a Pidgeot. So sadly, there was not a lot that I can do here. Maybe if I swapped out, but even then I don't think I had a chance of winning this game. Let's move on to the next game. Let's see what they're going to run here. We're going to see a Skeledirge in the lead. Again, a completely hard one in the lead. Like, there was nothing that I can do with my Toxicroak. Yes, I have 2 super effective moves now, also with the Shadow Ball. But again, it's not going to be really great for us. The opponent going to go into a Vigoroth. What I said before as well is going to happen here. You're going to have a lot of Vigoroth in the back, which is really bad for the LilyNiRiain. We can still at least go for another charge move here. But they don't really have to shield anything if they don't want to. And I still should be... Maybe I would be able to still get to a move. I don't think I would have actually been able to, but the opponent still goes for a charge move here, allowing us to at least get rid of some of their energy, and I cannot use a shield here at all. I have to hope that my Pidgeot is going to be able to win this game, but I could imagine that if they're going to run a Fire-type Pokemon in the lead, they might run something like a Lantern in the back, because it would make a lot of sense. But let's see what they're actually going to run here, because they can still swap into our Pidgeot here. I can use a shield. They're going to have the Disarming Voice here, and they're going to have the Credilli in the back. Shadow Credilli is going to be a little bit of a trickier one here. And let's take a look at this one. We're basically going to be losing this game here already, right? They're going to have a perfect alignment for themselves. They had the shield advantage before. They still have the 2 shields advantage against me. They called the bait here. I can still go at least for another Feather Dance, but honestly, it's looking so bad for us, because the opponent's still going to have a shield left. They're going to have super effective Rock Slides coming our way. They're still going to have the other Pokemon there as well alive, what's called the Skeledirge, and they're going to even make a great play here by going for the Undercharge and now swap on to the Skeledirge, allowing them to go for another charge move. So this game is over here, right? No, it's not. The opponent decides to go for whatever reason for a Shadow Ball, allowing me to go for another charge move as well. But can we outspeed the opponent's Credilli in time? This is the question here. We can still go for another charge move. Yes, we're going to still be able to win this game somehow, even though we got completely walled and it did not make any sense at all to win this game. Moving on, we're going to encounter Deoxys, and I'm really sad about this matchup here, because as you're going to see as well, I have the Shadow Ball, of course, and I kinda should use a Shadow Ball here, but I was feeling like, okay, the opponent knows they're going to win this matchup super easily if they just use the equal amount of shields that I use, so I go for the bait and they don't even shield. Like, honestly, if I just went for the Shadow Ball, I would have been in such a great spot, which of course I can say is my own fault basically there, but I feel like it was a little bit of a tricky matchup there, because it was like so obvious for me to go for the Shadow Ball that for the opponent there was literally 0 risk of going for like a shield there, because they always going to win the matchup, of course, in the 2-shield scenario. It was a hard wall for me with like having a Psychic type against Poison as well as Fighting type, but apparently they don't really care too much about it. They're still going to get to a charge move here, and basically this is going to be game. I had to hope that basically my Pidgeot is going to be able to win against everything, but like there's no way, or not, and I just go forfeit here. Let's move on to the next game. Hopefully this time we're going to be able to hit a Shadow Ball, and this is going to be one of the big matchups that you're going to be able to win or like have a better time with the Shadow Ball. Against Skarmory, Shadow Ball is going to be at least neutral. Of course, Dynamic Punch would be even a little bit better of a move, but we're going to see here at least it's going to do a ton of damage against the Skarmory, allowing you to win this in the 1 shield as well as in the 0 not in the 0 shield scenario, but like if you use 1 shield, basically you're going to have the best options there. You either win if the opponent goes for 0 shields there, or even if the opponent gonna go for a shield, you're gonna still win the 1 1-shot scenario as a Toxicroak. 2-shield's going to be bad, and also the 0-shield's going to be bad for you. But here we're going to get out the opponent's Poliwrath, going to go for the Icy Wind, and we can still go ahead and go for a shield here maybe. We're going to go for the shield, as they're going to actually stay in here, and I'm going to go for my own charge move, and they decide to also use a shield, which kind of tells me they're going to be weak against me in the back, and they are not. I don't even know why they did this here in the first place. And also, they're going to decide to go for the discharge here for whatever reason, which does not make any sense at all. Just go for Exeter. Exeter is exactly the exact same amount of damage as the discharge, but 5 less energy, so like, I don't know why you would go for discharge over that. But we can still go for another charge move here, allowing us to get some more damage, and we can still even farm them down. Like, the opponent is throwing left, right, and center here so far. We can go for the full farm down here as well against the opponent's Gamri. We can go for a charge move, but the opponent still has 1 stored, so we can just go for a full farm down with Pidgeot, and this is all it takes to knock them out. And I have no idea how the opponent would even do this, but I actually even still survive with the Lickitung and win this game like this. Literally, the opponents threw the entire game there, which was absolutely wild. Great lead for us. We're going to see now the Victreebel coming in, and I made a mistake here. I made a mistake. I most likely should have just went for a charge move already with my Toxicroak, because I knew already what they're going to have in the back at this point. It's going to be a tough matchup for my Lickitung, and here again would be a matchup most likely later on, where the Vigoroth would have been the better Pokemon to have in the back over the Lickitung. And again, I would say as well, like, just go for Vigoroth over Lickitung if you really want to use this team. Lickitung is just not really ideal, or even go for Greedent, I guess, which would work out a little bit better. But again, Greedent would also have the issue for being weak to fighting type Pokemon, and yeah, like again, against all the Vigoroth which are currently around. I knew that they would run the Wigglytuff in the back. I am forced to go for the Mud Bomb, of course, because I don't even have Sludge Bomb on my Pokemon. And I'm also forced to swap out into my Lickitung, because Lickitung is my best matchup for this one. And sadly, this is really bad actually for me. The opponent is going to be able to still go for an Icy Wind before I can go for a charge move, because this is going to really matter a lot that they have Icy Wind now, because the matchup would not be as bad, at least, before the Icy Wind buff. And so, like this, the opponent going to be at a low HP state already, but I'm forced to go for a charge move here against the opponent's Bastion as well, because I have to swap out eventually, and this kind of just gets time out of the clock. I thought that I might be able to get the final shield here with this one, but I am not going to be able to do this. And so the opponent can still go for another charge move here, and it is going to not really look too good for me, as I am going to be forced to let this move go through. And actually, I think I could have won this game. I think I might have been able to win this game if I just played it better. Yes, I would have been able to. Should have farmed up to 2 Mud Bombs against the Bastion there. This was a mistake for me. Let's move on to the final battle there. Definitely could have won the last one there if I played it a little bit better, but this is something that you see when you basically watch back your battles. That's something that I would also recommend you if you want to be a little bit better at Go Battle League or whatever. Watching back your battles and basically analyzing, being like really tough on yourself as well about like how you play, might be really decent for you to learn something, because it's going to allow you to just see, okay, maybe I could have played this a little bit different and I would have won the game. And yeah, for me, I definitely should have tried to not go for the Mud Bomb and try to get the shield / knockout immediately, and should have just went for a little bit more energy to gain. But let's take a look at the final battle here. We're going to encounter the Tentacruel, and we're going to also encounter the Serperior, and I like this matchup quite a bit, because at this point, we're going to get the Serperior against the Lickitung. We can still go for at least 1 charge move, maybe even 2, and if we get to 2, it would be even a little bit better for me, most likely. But what I'm going to be able to do now is I'm going to get a ton of energy afterwards with my, Pidgeot. Pidgeot going to enjoy this kind of farm, going to get a ton of energy here. We can take the Aerial Ace for sure. Aerial Ace does basically no damage against us, and we can take even another one if we want to, because again, it's going to be just the Aerial Ace. And we're going to get the full farm on against the opponent. We're going to see the Dugong coming in, and so I decided to go straight for the Brave Bird, doing a ton of damage. And hopefully we're going to see here that the Shadow Ball is coming in clutch as well again later on, as you can use a shield against the opponent's Tentacruel. We're going to get the attack drop, which is really scary, because I maybe nearly got to a charge move there, but we can still go for the Shadow Ball, and this is all it takes to knock them out. We can at least win the final game. I have to say, Shadow Ball does not really change too much on Toxicroak, but it's still a very solid Pokemon. It wasn't already before, so it does not really change too much on that one. But yeah, definitely Lickitung is a little bit of a tricky Pokemon as a say-swap nowadays. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like and check out the videos on the screen. I'll see you then. Bye bye.